On today's awesome episode of Today in the Shop, I'm going to tell you some it's top secret. That's one of the easiest things you can do. It's called back bleeding your brakes. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you this really simple technique. If you feel like your brakes are mushy, or maybe you overheated them on a downhill, or maybe you just do this. I do this all the time, especially if a bike's been sitting for a while, because the brake system, it can get a little contaminated. Dirt, moisture, air bubbles can get in the line. This is a really quick, easy way to get stuff done. So what you simply do is you come to your bike. I like to use my knee. I grab my tire, I push my knee into the caliper, and I force it back against the disc rotor. So I'm pulling here on the tire and pushing on my knee. It squeezes the pistons, it forces the fluid back up. Another thing that you can do that will help is you can pull the lines like I'm doing here to make sure that that reservoir is now at the highest point, and then squeeze it out. So you go up there, you're done with that. Now you do nice big slow pulls from all the way, and it'll go all the way to the lever usually. And then you let it back out. Let the fluid go back down, replenish. 2, 3, now I can feel it coming back. 4, it's all good. And you can snap the lever a couple times. Do this. And if there's any air, it's forced it all out, with one small exception, and I'll explain this now. So on a lot of bikes, if you look at the caliper down here, the high part is up here where the drain is. And so there could be air that's trapped up in here, and even when you squeeze it all the way out, you're not going to get that. So if it continues to stay mushy, you say, oh, it doesn't really feel that good. I know it could feel better. What you can do, you just have to be careful that you keep the system closed. You don't have to have any extra tools. I just have the 8mm, which goes on here. And so what I'm going to do is, and I have a long enough reach to where I can do this, I'm going to come up here and pump it a couple times. And then I'm going to just simply, and right now it's pointing at me, break it loose like that. And just really quick, it did that little spit. So let me do that one more time. So I'm pulling the lever, I'm squeezing it, and then I'm just going to simply crack this down. And maybe you want to come over here to kind of shoot over my shoulder. So I'm going to crack this down, and I'm just going to barely give it any, there, that's it, like that. And as I do that, I can feel the lever up where my hands are compress a little bit. But if there was any air up in there, now there's no air, there's just fluid. And when I went, and on this bike, which is the first time I've ever done it, it's a pretty new bike, I feel better lever pressure up here. So there was a small amount of air inside of there. And so I just, snug her back down and go, and now we're ready to go rip on the trails. So the same thing is true for the back brake. So we'll move around over to the other side here, come over to the back brake. On this particular bike, I have some Bulletproof Designs protection, so I can't get my knee onto it or my foot, which I could do if it wasn't protected, but I have it protected. But luckily, another trail nugget, sometimes in the shop, work with the tools that you carry with you. So here's my trail tool pack. I pull it out and I can use a tire iron, or I can use a wrench, and I can take that and I can wedge it back in here, and then I can compress the caliper like I just did. So I squeeze and compress the caliper. I go up here, same thing, nice long pulls, and it's pumped right back up. So yeah, so I just go like this, and you can do this multiple times. It's not going to hurt anything. And just like on the front one, this bleed hole is at a higher position, and if I wanted to just make extra sure, see the 8mm in the toolkit, good thing. So I could take this, put pressure, and I'm just barely going to crack it. And if there's any air in there, you'll probably see like a little, there we go. And there was none. So now snug that guy back down, and we're good. And we know that's good. Hey, this episode of Today in the Shop is brought to you by Yamaha. And I never have to do this on my Yamahas because the brakes are so good, by the way. You might know that. This is my WR450. I've got it all set up for me to go trail riding. And now that I know my brakes are solid, I will see you out on the trail.